All right, so the House Armed Services Committee passes the NDA, that's National Defense Arms Appropriation, something like that, that boosts shipbuilding, authorizes 13 Battle Force ships. So this is a big deal. We just got the money for the next year, the next budget has been approved to build 13 new warships. Yeah, that's like a lot. Usually we do 5, 6 a year. It's almost double that. So from the piece, I'm sure the piece mentions where all this is leading to. So the House Armed Services Committee early Thursday approved its annual, that's yesterday, approved its annual defense policy bill and boosted the Navy's shipbuilding account and authorizing 13 Battle Force ships. And the reason why they put the word Battle Force in there is this will count towards our battle roster. These are warships. No, these are not some support vessels. Well, one of them actually is, but it's a support vessel that's going to go into battle with us. Fiscal year 2022 National Defense Authorization Act, that's the NDAA I was talking about, passed the committee with a 57-2 vote. So it's almost unanimous that they wanted to spend this extra money. The NDAA authorizes a total of, listen to this, 3 Arleigh Burke destroyers, 2 more Virginia-class attack submarines, 1 Constellation-class, 1 American-class amphibious assault ship. That's a huge LHA, very big ship, going to escort Marines around in it, take them all around the world. 2 of your expeditionary or EPFs. I'll show you a picture of that in a second. Those are very cool ships that you don't see very often. And 2 of the John Lewis-class fleet oilers. Those are the support ships that will go with the fleet into combat. So that's why they fall onto this battleship list. And 1 Navajo-class towing, salvage, and rescue ship that's going to take any damaged ships that can't make it home again and bring them out of the fight. And 1 TAGSX ocean surveillance ship. That could be considered a non-combatant, but they're including all of these in this battle force of ships, even the surveillance ship. The bill successful passage out of the panel comes after lawmakers on a Wednesday adopted an amendment that would increase the Department of Defense's top line budget to $23.9 billion. Wow, that's for 1 year, guys. Holy smokes. I don't remember the last time we spent that much money. Like even during Ronald Reagan's Cold War years in the 80s, I don't think we spent that much money. Of course, you'd have to adjust for inflation, right? But I still don't think that we haven't spent this much money in a long time. So that tells me that people in Congress are getting the message that we might be on the brink of war and we don't want to be caught without enough ships to win it. Because right now we don't have that. You know, we need our allies or else we're not going to win. So we're really beefing up our Navy right now. And this is great. So the same amendment also authorized 4 more Battle Force ships. Another Arleigh Burke, that's like a total of 4. Another American-class amphibious assault ship. That can't be 2. Okay, 1 expeditionary fast transport ship. I'm about to show you a picture of that. Another TOW. I think they're double counting a little bit. I know the total is 13 ships, though. All right, so here's that EPF. This is really cool. This is it's like a garage that they stuck on a catamaran. This thing can do like 40 knots. And the idea is you stick a bunch of very angry Marines in there with all their guns and planes and bombs and explosives, and sharp sticks, and you haul ass to the beach with this thing and you let them off the back or the front. I don't know. It's definitely off the back though. It's a badass little thing, and you don't see that very often. This is not a very much talked about ship, but it's very important to amphibious operations. From back to the piece says, while the Navy only asked for 1 destroyer in its budget request, despite its commitment to 2 destroyers per year, 2 Arleigh Burkes per year procurement, the House Armed Services Committee Sea Power Mark authorized the 2nd destroyer. The Sea Power panel had authorized 2 Arleigh Burke class destroyers, 2 Virginias, 1 Constellation, 1 Navajo, and 1 John Lewis, and the surveillance ship. The Mark only authorized 1 towing salvage vessel, despite the Navy's request for 2. So this is a little bit of political gamesmanship here by the Pentagon. So the Pentagon had been going to Congress testifying for a long time now, saying, hey, we got to build a minimum of 2 Arleigh Burkes a year. Those are going to cost X number of dollars, right? This is what we need to do that. But whenever they submit their proposal, instead of the Pentagon submitting to the Armed Service Committee what they want to build, they did not include a second Arleigh Burke. So that doesn't make any sense, right? So you're thinking, well, if they said they need two and they're always going to need or have two, why are they only planning on building one? That's because they know they can take the money. Okay, there's two Arleigh Burkes. They're going to take the money from one Arleigh Burke and they're going to move it over here to a different program, Long Fires program, for hypersonic missiles. They're going to take that money that would build a Burke and send it somewhere else. And then Congress is going to come in and say, based on your testimony, you need two Arleigh Burkes. We're going to give you additional funds for that second Arleigh Burke. So they end up getting it anyway. And the money for one of these two ships went to a different program. Very complicated. I hope you followed that, but that's how this works. And that's how these defense budgets balloon out of control. So that was one example of that happening. Okay. And the hours long markup of the HASC went through hundreds of amendments, including one proposed by Republican Mike Gallagher, Wisconsin. We've talked about him a lot. His district builds the LCSs, so he loves that. And he's getting the Constellation contract now too, so he'll be building those. I wonder what he said. He says to place additional limitations on retired officers serving in the Pentagon's top civilians. Yeah, because it's a bit of a revolving door there, where these senior administration officers, whether they're generals or admirals, it doesn't matter. They both do it. They have really close ties to military industries, right? Whether it's General Atomics or it's Raytheon, whatever. And so they're looking to take really good positions either in those companies or top Pentagon civilian positions after they retire. And they tend to grease those skids right before they retire to make sure that they get into those positions. And I can understand that's a little bit of conflict of interest, because in that brief period of time when they're greasing the skids, they're promoting programs that are going to make another company money in exchange for perhaps a job, right? Or getting into a top civilian program afterwards without waiting. I think it's Australia. They make their retired officers that are like 06 and above wait a certain number of years before they can begin serving again as a civilian. Those are two different routes that I saw while I was in. Something that happened while I was in the Navy, the captain of our schoolhouse. Yeah, our captain of our schoolhouse retired, big ceremony, great guy. He came back as an evaluator, as a military civilian or contractor, but he was working for the government. So he was a G30 or whatever employee, making a lot of money, essentially collecting his retirement and collecting a government paycheck at the same time. Right before he retired, he made a new position called Graybeard, and he would go to the practical trainers and just watch for a couple hours a day, maybe give some comments. He's a retired submarine captain. He holds a lot of gravitas whenever he speaks. And he essentially made that position before it could be filled by somebody else right before he retired. So he filled it when he retired, like a week later. It was that quick. Yeah. So that's what they're trying to prevent, or things like that. Yeah. I didn't mind him doing it. He was a great guy. So this was by Melry Shelbourne, by the way. All right, let's move on to the next one. So we're talking a lot about China has an advantage at sea in numbers of ships. Okay. And there's a big argument to be made as to whether or not their ships are as good as ours. I would say they are not, but that's not the argument we're going to have here. What we're trying to do is we're trying to include more anti-ship weapons into other forces. So here we have the United States Air Force F-15E. That's the bomber version of their vulnerable F-15 series, has the first successful maritime JDAM test drop. We can now drop JDAMs that are GPS guided and hit moving targets. Yeah. How that's done, none of your damn business. That's how that's done. But we have that technology now, and they've just tested it successfully. England Air Force Base says 3 F-15E Strike Eagles from the 85th Test and Evaluation Squadron supported a test in part of quick sync joint capability technology demonstration. We're dropping a 2,000-pound bomb on a ship. That's why it's called quick sync. All right. Partnering with the U.S. Air Force Research Laboratory, the F-15E crews developed demonstrated new tactics, techniques, and procedures for employing modified 2,000-pound GBU-31 joint direct attack munitions for both moving and static maritime targets. Yeah, Pretty badass. Well, we've been waiting for something like that. This might replace the cruise missile because it's a hell of a lot cheaper than a cruise missile is. It's a dumb bomb with a freaking the GPU assembly harness on it, and we have a new technology to hit moving targets with GPS. Yeah. With any large moving ship, the Air Force's primary weapon is the 2,000-pound laser-guided GBU-24, says Major Andrew Swanson from the 85th TES F-15 Weapon Systems Officer. Not only is this weapon less than ideal, it also reduces our survivability based on how it's deployed, because they got to keep the laser beam on and it's laser-guided, and it takes time to get there, and you got to be in the vicinity of the ship as the bomb's falling too. At all that time, you can be shot down. Yeah, that's not how this new system works. It's also not the new tactic. So from the piece, he says, a Navy submarine has the ability to launch and destroy a ship with a single torpedo at any time. You're damn right we do. But by launching that weapon, it gives away your location. The quick sync JCTD aims to develop a low-cost method of achieving a torpedo-like seaworthy kill from the air. And they've demonstrated it recently. So we have the ability to do this. The test builds on previous 53rd Wing test conducted last year, where a B-52H Stratofortress from the 49th TES dropped JDAMs in order to assess the viability of a specific maritime impact conditions. So they bombed ships from a Stratofortress. That's pretty funny. What do you guys think of this? Viper says he used to work with the 85th TES out of Florida. Awesome, dude. Great to have you here. Small world, right? Look at that. We're talking about your old thing. Isn't GPS jammed in a war scenario? Yeah, we won't talk about jamming. Calm down. All right, let's move on. So who else is getting in the ship killing game? We got submarines. We got surface ships. We got airplanes dropping 2,000-pound bombs that can hit a moving ship with GPS guidance now. And the Marine Corps. Yeah, the Marines want a piece of the action. They got this new thing that they've been testing. They put it on back what looks like a Humvee truck of some kind. It's got 2 anti-surface ship missiles on it, cruise missiles. But let's read from the piece by Naval News, written by Xavier Vassiver is back with this piece. The United States Marine Corps ship-killing Nemesis, that's the name of the missile system, to become operational in 2023. They had been testing this in Pacific War Games for at least 2 years that I'm aware of, and it seems to work pretty good. Okay, the Nemesis recently took part in a large-scale exercise, LSE-21. During the exercise, Nemesis was first deployed via C-130 transport aircraft, and then to an LCAC, and then took part in the sinking exercise. So that is the full deployment cycle of this weapon from, say, mainland United States. That's the C-130. They land, say, somewhere where they want to deploy it in Guam, but they don't want to deploy this missile on Guam. They want to go to an adjoining island, right? Well, they put it up on one of those little hovercraft LCACs and transport it to the atoll, to the island, wherever it's going to be sitting. And then they drive it off onto the beach. And from the beach, they conduct this test successfully. All right. The Naval Strike Missile, the NSM, that's the missile that they're shooting, was against a decommissioned guided missile frigate Ingram. According to USMC, this was the second guided flight test firing for the system. Nemesis integrates an unmanned variant of the Joint Lightweight Tactical Vehicle and NSM fire control systems used by the U.S. Navy. Learn more about the Nemesis program at Naval News, Marine Corps Systems Command. So I guess I have an additional piece on it. But here you can see it firing its missile. It's really cool. And so it's a Marine Corps system using a Navy network, as they should, shooting down, or destroying a ship. I guess it was on August 15th. Wow, this was really recent. Wow, really recent test. And then they have this interview. Go over to navalnews.com and read the interview for yourself. They interview the Marine Corps' commander who was in charge of this test, and it's really interesting. I can't zoom in on these pictures, unfortunately, but here you can see it being rolled off the back of the C-130. It takes up every inch of that cargo bay. And then they put it on the LCAC here, and this thing takes it to wherever it's going to end up being deployed, right? Whatever beach it's going to go to. And then here's like an artist rendering. That's a different ship entirely. Yeah. Really cool. Anyway, my point is sinking ships isn't just a Navy business anymore. We even got the Marine Corps sinking ships now, and the Air Force wants a piece of it. Whether it's their Stratofortress or their F-15Es, ships are going away from many different directions. Subsea, surface, the beach, the air. There's going to be bombs flying at these Chinese ships from everywhere if it comes to that. All right, let's see what you guys say about this. Wade says, any chance of a fully submersible carrier in the future? We have the technology to do it. We understand the physics and all that. There really just isn't any point in putting a carrier submerged. There really isn't that much of an advantage to it. You know, all you have to do is place an explosive in the vicinity of a submerged carrier to sink it. So it stands a better chance actually on the surface where it can operate and defend itself. Yeah. Cheeto says, talk about the GPS jamming. It's very easy to do. Well, I'm not going to talk about that because we don't talk about jamming. That's one of the things that's very sensitive. I don't talk about sonar jamming, GPS jamming. Jamming is a topic I just won't discuss. Okay. And by the way, I'm not an expert in jamming. That's another reason not to talk about it, is I don't know what I'm talking about if I talk about jamming. All right. Sykes says, yeah, co-ords from the ground units usually. Yeah, send them to Taiwan. Yeah, I mean, this would be a great system for Taiwan. And Taiwan right now is buying as many American systems as we will sell them. Like, they are really scared, and I think they should be. China's coming for Taiwan. That's a matter of time. And so I think a system like this on the beaches of Taiwan would go a long way towards deterrence. You know, maybe don't roll them out and leave them on the beach all day, right? But have them ready to be on the beach in short notice, right? I think it would make a difference. Numbnuts says, I love your name, says, any chance you'll do a piece on the museum ship Silverside? Probably. I mean, I'm here in Michigan. Here's the deal. I am quarantining myself until this pandemic thing calms down a little bit, okay? I haven't been outside in weeks, okay? If I go outside now, my skin will burn in the sun. Derp says, can you talk about raspberry jamming and Spaceball oil? I can't talk about that, yes. P Pistol says, jamming, isn't that the process of preserving fruits? Yes. And I don't know how to do that either, so I can't talk about that. Intimidator says, do you think we ought to sell a few Tychos to the Taiwanese? Yeah, sure. I think that's a good idea. Matter of fact, maybe I should buy a retired one and I'll sell it to them. Yeah. All right, good times. Anyway, I'm glad to see everybody's getting in the ship killing game. We need all the help we can get, whether it's from allies or different services. I'm glad to see that we're being very proactive in getting our forces ready for an upcoming war that hopefully doesn't happen. All right. Okay, that's it for the Naval News segment. We will see you guys next time. We'll be right back with some more cold waters. Enjoy. See you guys in a few minutes.